Everybody's trying to get there. Yo.
Yeah.
What's going on, y'all, man?
What's going on, guys?
We are back with another one. Y'all know what time it is.
Happy
man.
day.
So we got I saw this video said Thomas Sowell versus the left. I know we did one why he said how the left hates white people, but this one is Thomas Sowell versus the left.
Let's hear it.
So let's hit it with this.
Let's hear it. Whoa.
What? What? I hit you.
I almost knocked me out.
What? What?
Just thinking about a little while ago.
What?
Timber.
After last summer's protests, experts declared what America must do for Black Americans.
The only way to close a wealth gap is by transferring wealth.
We have to abolish policing.
Reparations. Listening to them, I kept hearing the voice of Tom Sowell.
I haven't been able to find a single country in the world where the policies that are being advocated for blacks in the United States have lifted any people out of poverty.
Sowell's an economist who writes great books about economics and culture. Today, he defends free markets and criticizes the conceit of political planners. But he once was a Marxist.
What was your wake-up to what was wrong with that line of thinking?
Facts.
Thomas Sowell was born in North Carolina at the start of the Great Depression. His father died before he was born, his mother soon after.
Wow.
When he was 9, a relative took him to Harlem.
We were much poorer than the people in Harlem or most anywhere else today. But in another sense, in the sense of the things you need to get ahead, I was enormously more fortunate than most black kids today.
Partly because a friend showed him the Harlem Public Library.
When you start getting in the habit of reading when you're 8 years old, that's a different ballgame.
His reading and early life experiences turned him into a Marxist.
So I would take the Fifth Avenue bus, past all these Lord and Taylor and all these fancy places, and then suddenly there were the tenements.
Wow.
And I wondered, why is this? It's so different. And nothing in the schools or most of the books seemed to deal with that. And Marx dealt with that.
What then changed him was his first job.
I was a summer intern at the U.S. Department of Labor. One of my biggest concerns was about minimum wages. At first I thought, well, this is good because all these people are poor and they'll get a little higher income. And so that'll be helpful. And then as I studied economics, I began to see, well, there's a downside. They may lose their jobs completely. And when I came up with how we might test this, I was waiting to hear congratulations, you see, that I had this. And I could see these people were stunned. They said, oh, this idiot has stumbled on something that will ruin us all. And I realized the U.S. Department of Labor had its own agenda and interests. And that did not necessarily mean that whether poor people lost their jobs for minimum wages or got higher pay was their highest priority.
He found out that people in the government didn't give a rip whether or not it worked or didn't work. They were simply implementing the policy.
Right.
And that's what shocked him and caused him to begin to rethink lots of his assumptions.
These video clips come from a new documentary about Sowell.
This whole notion that the black family has always been disintegrating, that is nonsense.
What I find most interesting about Sowell's work is that it utterly contradicts what Americans are taught about black poverty.
That's right.
Sowell's claims of systemic racism in America are propaganda.
If you go back into the 20s, you find that married couple families were much more prevalent among blacks then. As late as 1930, blacks had lower unemployment rates than whites. So all these things that we complain about and attribute to the era of slavery, those things should have been worse in the past than in the present.
Sowell says the bigger cause of blacks' problems today is welfare.
You began to have the mindset that goes with the welfare state, so that there was no stigma any longer attached, for example, to being on relief.
The things they thought were going to help did not help, and in many cases made things worse. Sowell concluded that many government programs did much more harm than good because of affirmative action.
Something like 1/4 of all the black students going to MIT do not graduate. You're talking about a pool of people whom you are artificially turning into failures by mismatching them with the school.
Saying such things doesn't make Sowell popular with today's political elites, but he doesn't seem to care.
Tom is absolutely fearless. He will not compromise any of his opinions for the sake of social politeness.
That's right.
And so today's politically correct media rarely give his work the attention it deserves.
The media, the television and the print media, they've wised up. You can't argue with Tom, so you might as well hide what he's doing. And that's what they're doing.
Wow.
They're just ignoring what he's written because there's no way that they can argue with Tom Sowell.
Yeah.
Today, Sowell
Wow.
is a scholar at Stanford's Hoover Institution. He continues to write books about public policy. You can watch the full Sowell documentary at any of these sites starting next week.
He does. I want to read. I actually have already have one of his books
You started reading it?
in my Kindle, but haven't started yet. I have so many other ones that I was reading, but I do.
The man's brilliant, bro.
Yeah, but Intellectuals in Society, that's the one that I need to download, but that's not the one that I have. I think I have the one with about the whites and the rednecks.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, that the dude is such a brilliant mind to where, like you said, if they were to be implementing his knowledge on the media, the ecosystem would change.
Yep, it would.
But they're not, because there's a whole agenda. If you keep make people sleep, people will sit down and just watch and fear. Make them fear. We can get them the medicine. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a whole system of keeping you impoverished, and it's a whole evil agenda. According to God, we were praying one time, and we were talking about something. We were having a conversation about, God doesn't really like on what's being put out there. He don't like these cultures, these cancel culture and stuff. He does not like it. But the world wants to close off the truth for a lie, because the lie
it's audible. It's black rednecks and white liberals.
Okay.
That's the one that I have.
I
I want to listen to.
But that was awesome, man. That was awesome. The man's such a wealth of knowledge, and if you go read him stuff, it just debunks whatever you thought you were brought up with.
Yep, facts and the truth. That's what it is. When you have the facts and the truth about things, you make a decision based off of that perspective.
Yeah.
Not what you want it to be, what they said. You need the information. And then he's like, well, I mean, once he realized what the facts were, it's no need of holding on to that ideology, because it don't add up
At all.
Let's go.
That was awesome, man. Comment, subscribe. Don't take a nosedive, but comment down in the section below if you want some more. We'll see y'all next one,
we
man.
ain't judging, just saying.
Bye bye.